Chats will be through there. So you're there, you're there. That's gonna be read only, but you're gonna be there.
Okay.
And then this is gonna be your IG if you want to look at the comments there.
All right, so I can just go live.
You're live.
Awesome. I'm slow here.
Yeah, there's gonna
There
be a
you go.
string delay.
You got it. Okay, there's a string delay. Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to my Rich Dudes Roundtable Real Estate Q&A. And there's Rob. Rob did not want to be on camera today, but there he is. That's the man, the myth, and the legend, by the way, of E3 Realty. So that being said, you're probably asking why I'm doing Rich Dudes Roundtable once a week. I think the main thing is I get lots of questions from you through my DMs, through workshops with clients. And I just want to basically answer some of these questions for you, as well as if you have questions today, I have it set up. You're more than welcome to ask questions in the chat, and I will basically be able to answer those questions for you. So let's start this off with the first question that I get. I would say more than any other question out there is now a good time to buy a home, a real estate home. And that's a great question. And it comes down to a lot of different things, honestly. Interest rates are above 7% again. Housing shortage is still a huge problem. The reality of it is it comes down to what's best for you right at the end of the day. And the question that you need to ask yourself is two simple answers always when buying or selling housing is one, does it make financial sense for you? Well, what does that really mean? Do I have the funds to be able to put a down payment on a property? Do I make enough income to be able to afford that mortgage and not be what we like to call house poor, right? Where you basically are just paying all of your income towards a mortgage, right? And does the timing make sense for you, right? And that's very different for a lot of people. I've helped hundreds of buyers and sellers, buy, refinance, sell homes. And the reality of it is timing is so, so important. And if that lines up, and let me give you an example. You have a growing family. You have great job with great income. You're looking at something you're going to be in for another 5 or so years, right? Or more, right? Those are questions that say, yes, maybe I should be buying this property. Or maybe it's something that I want to build wealth through. And you're like, does timing make sense? I got a great job. I got the money to basically be able to buy a property. I can afford the mortgage, and I want to help build some financial wealth. As you know, pretty much the average from post-COVID all the way up to 2022 is about a 40% gain in property values, right? That's crazy, right? So if you're looking to create some wealth, real estate is one of the best ways of doing it. So that's a great question that I get all the time, almost daily, honestly, so it gets on to buy a house. And it really comes down to your needs and your wants, honestly. And we tell people, you'd be surprised how many people we tell them it's not a good time for them to buy. It doesn't make sense. And they go, what do you mean? I go, look, our job's not to put you in a house and have you foreclose on it. Our job's to put you in a house and you love it and live in it, and you send your friends and family to us. So always remember there's two things that basically matter more than anything is, does it make financial sense for you, and is the timing right? And you always, always use that as your compass to buying and selling real estate. Okay. So I get that question a lot. I wanted to answer that one for you. I got a few more questions for you. And then if there's any that come in, I'll be more than happy to answer those for you as well. The other question is, how much can I afford? Right. And that's a great question. And everybody has different things on their credit, right? So it's very tough to understand that. Your scenario, I'm more than happy to any time to go through your scenario directly and figure out what you can afford, but give you kind of an overview of just a simple basic math, right? Like think of it this way. If you have $10,000 of income, the way it usually works, and it does change case by case, but just use a basic 50% is the max that can go out the door for all of your monthly expenses. And let me give you an analogy to that. That's your mortgage, a car payment because it's on your credit, student loans if it's on your credit, and you also have like any sort of credit cards, minimum payments, not your balance, not your what you pay every month, but the minimum payments can't be more than 50%, let's say. So if I have a $10,000 income, my total money out the door for qualifying purposes is about $5,000. Now that's just a very, very generic way of looking at it. Definitely not what I would say is for sure you can go and go buy a property tomorrow. Don't do that. But just know that kind of gives you an idea of where you would stand there, right? It's basically if you have $5,000, $10,000 of income, you have $5,000 of overall expenses going out the door. That kind of gives you an idea, okay, what you would qualify for. Okay. Now, as far as what you qualify for on that, that's a whole nother question. I can do that at a later date as well. But I just wanted to make sure I answer that question so you can kind of get an idea of what type of payment you might be able to qualify for, right? Not actual purchase price. Okay. Another question is, what's up with interest rates? And oh my gosh, I wish I had the crystal ball to this one, because the beginning of the year, we started to see them come back down. We're in the mid sixes, low sixes. And then boom, here we are back at a 7 again, right? The reality of it, and I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times more, the economy is very strong, right? It has been very resilient. The housing market is resilient. The economy is resilient. And the feds have said for many, many months that they're going to be more cautious on lowering the Fed rate. And just so you guys know, Fed rate and mortgage rates don't go hand in hand, right? That's not how they work. But in general, they said, look, we're not going to lower the Fed rate. We'd rather it, lower it later down the road than to lower it too soon and ramp up the economy even more, right? And the last couple of months, we've seen some very, very strong CPI numbers. And this week we have CPE coming out as well, and we'll see what happens with that. And so there's just a lot of things that we have to look at. But one of the biggest ones I know we talked about a little bit in the past is, unemployment rate, right? We're still extremely, extremely low in unemployment rate, which basically means that everyone has a job, right? Or two jobs, right? And even when those layoffs happen in Silicon Valley and everybody's like, oh, here we go, it's about to start. What happened? They just moved to another company, right? That was hiring high quality talent. And so the realization of it is when you have an unemployment rate under 4%, which is what we're currently at, you're going to have a very, very strong economy. And for even you guys go back to last year when we talk about interest rates and talk about what's going on, like the economy's strong, unemployment rate is strong, interest rates have started to climb. The Fed's not looking to lower the Fed rate by March. It's probably May if we're lucky at this point, right? Unless something crazy happens. And interest rates will start to come down a little bit more when that happens. And remember, just so you guys know, Fed rate and, like I said, mortgage rate aren't the same. Right? They are different, but that's going to also put pressure on mortgage rates itself. Now, one thing I will tell you that basically that we will see at some point, and it's already started to come down, is the margin between the 10-year note and actual 30-year fixed interest rates. And I know this is a little bit more advanced, but I want you to understand this as much as you possibly can. If the 10-year note is 4%, the history of 30-year fixed rate mortgages was 1.75 above that. So let me give you an example. Fed rate's 4%, 5.75 would be interest rates, right? Give or take, right? Couple points here, okay? The past, we were at 3.3%. So we had a 4% 10-year. We were 3.3%. So when we had 8% interest rates, guys, we were 3.3% higher than that. So that's a lot higher than the average. And there's a whole reason behind that with the secondary market and lenders and this, that, and the other. I'm not going to get into that today because that's more of a way more advanced conversation. Right now, we're at about 2.7, right? So we still have some room to get back down to the average we should be at, which means there's basically a whole extra percentage point still built in to where we should be. So technically, if you think about it this way, we're at 7% interest rates. If it was a normal market, we'd be at 6 today. So we do have room there. And I know over the next 12 months, we'll start to see that compress back down to more of a normal market. And then in the next 18 to 24 months, we'll start to see lower interest rates. So I just want to make sure you understand nobody has a crystal ball for interest rates. I think if it makes financial sense for you, the timing is right, 100% buy a property. You're going to probably refinance as long as your job doesn't change, your credit doesn't change. All these things don't change. There's going to be an opportunity to refinance that property. And when that happens, you save the money long term. And then also, when rates go down, what happens? More buyers come out. They drive up the prices, right? And then now you make more appreciation. So it's a win-win in general. There's no signs of a foreclosure market. I won't talk about that today, but we will definitely talk about that in the near future for you as well, because it wasn't one of my questions I got asked this week. My fourth question that I got asked this week, and this is a good one. Um, should I expect a bidding war? Wow. And I was like, that's a great question, right? Because really it is. Should you expect a bidding war in the current market? And I would say the market is a normal real estate market. And what I mean by normal real estate market is there's now back to seasonality. When I got licensed and became a realtor and a loan officer, I don't know, was it 2010, something like that, 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. Um, it was normalization, right? You had your spring market, which was, spring and summer, which was super hot, right? Winter months were a little bit slower, right? And then January, things started picking back up again, like a normal real estate market. And that's what we're in now. It's a normal real estate market. But in a normal real estate market, let's put it this way. If the house and the listing agent does their job, and I'll show some examples probably in the next couple of weeks of not doing their job compared to doing their job, but we'll break that down a little bit later. But reality of it is, if a listing agent does their job, they know the background of the whole entire property, the neighborhood. They've done everything they can to get the pre-inspection reports up front, make sure everything's handled there. They've done their staging. They've done their, if they want to do a full remodel, which you don't have to in this market, but if you did do that, that's an option. And you price their home correctly and you market it extremely high levels with social media ads and Google pay-per-click ads and just doing everything you possibly can to make sure you get this property front and center, you're going to see a bidding war on that property. Hands down, not a question of it's going to happen. If you cut corners as a seller and as a buyer, this is your opportunity. You're probably not going to see much of a bidding war, right? And that's where you're going to be able to get your deals. I've been able to get multiple clients deals in this current market as a buyer because sellers just cut corners everywhere they could. And when they cut corners on their marketing and pricing and staging and this, that, and the other, doesn't mean it's a bad house. It just means you didn't do the job that was correctly to get them top dollar. And in return, what does that mean? If you get the house into its best position possible, you will reap the benefits. So just know you can expect some bidding wars. Each city has its own market right now, which is nice. Back in, post-COVID, 2020, 2021, where everything was bunkers and every city, no matter where you were in America, everything was going off the charts. Right now, there's definitely each city and even zip codes are definitely breaking down the market. But right now, just so you know, in general, we don't have enough inventory. We still don't have enough inventory. And so you're still going to have more buyers currently right now in the market than there's inventory. But as rates have continued to climb, less buyers have wanted to play ball, which means it's just a little bit less competition for the amount of homes that are on the market. Will it flip? It didn't flip at 8%. So I don't know what that number is going to look like for it to flip into a buyer's market. But with inventory levels being as low as they have been, and rates being squeaking up to 7%, you have seen a little bit of a pullback of the buyers out there in the market. But in general, most buyers right now in the market are excited because, listen, less competition. I'm going to get in. It makes financial sense for me. Timing is right, and I'm going to get after it. And I'm not going to have a bidding war, right? The question is, am I going to see a bidding war? Well, not now. You won't not see as much. But if the house is priced right, marketed correctly, and staged correctly and beautiful, you're going to see multiple offers on that property. We have one right now in Antioch that Allie's selling right now. She got 6 offers with another 4 coming in. So can you? Sure, absolutely, if you do a job right. Okay. Last question. What should I look for during the home inspection? That's a great question, right? Because I think the thing that most people go is, I get these inspections and then what? You're really looking for to see if the bones of the property are in good shape. And what do I mean by that? And I'll tell you, the first time I saw a home inspection report as an agent, I freaked out. All you see is red everywhere. Red, 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 red. And I'm like, this house is a lemon. What you don't understand is home inspection reports are, is this property, what I'm looking at, is the electrical up to code? Now, codes change every 5 to 7, 8 years, right? So when the codes change, any house that's not up to that, there's probably going to be some red there. But reality of it is you're looking for the big items, the big ticket items, the roof, the HVAC, the water heater, the electrical, the plumbing, the meat and potatoes of the property to be in good shape, or very fixable. If it's a little bit of an older home, can it be fixed reasonably, right? Foundations, right? Those are the things that you're really looking for. And you'll see on a report, on a home inspection report, 20 little, 30 little things on there. That doesn't mean they're not important, but a handyman comes over for $500 and fixes almost every one of those for you, right? But it looks like there's all these problems with the property, but it's just, little deferred maintenance that needs to be handled, right? And there's different types of home inspection reports. So I'm going to go over a few of those with you now, and then I'll wrap this thing up for you. But I wanted to make sure you understand kind of what most buyers are getting when they get home inspection reports. Well, there's the general home inspection, and the general home inspection is going to look at what I just talked about. Usually they'll look at the roof, the HVACs, the water heaters, the electrical, the plumbing, foundation, depending on, what type of report you're getting there. If it's raised foundation or not, or if it's on the slab and all that kind of good stuff, right? You also have what's called a pest report, very common, right? Which is going to talk about your termites, your dry rot, your fungus, all of that kind of stuff is all going to be on your pest report. Then you have a roof report, which might be separate from your home inspection report, because the home inspector is going to say, hey, I see a few things on the roof, go get a home inspection or go get a roof report, right? So we recommend getting a roof report as well. And that's going to tell you the age of the estimated age of the roof, what type of roof, how much life is going to be left, and what type of repairs need to be done. And usually they'll give you a quote for like how much the repairs are going to be. Same on the pest report. One thing most buyers don't know is home inspectors do not give out quotes for the repairs. Okay. Pest reports do, roof reports do. Home inspections do not. So you do have to have a handyman that's going to be able to go out there and do that. And when you hire somebody on our team, we have all that set up for you so we can get you guys quotes for all the stuff that comes up on the home inspection report. The other big one that gets missed a lot, I'm not too sure why, but the sewer lateral gets missed. And what the sewer lateral is, that's the plumbing from the street to your home. And there's a line. And the reality of it is usually it's fine. But sometimes you have trees that grow in the yard. Sometimes you have cement or whatever it might be, right? And sometimes you get roots into that pipe, or there's a backup or something. And so we recommend getting a camera to go from the house, out to the street line to make sure everything's good and it's cleared. And if it's not, there might be a problem. And here's the way the city works. Listen, if it's 1 millimeter on your side, they're going to say, oh, that's on your side. Well, guess what? Who's digging that up? You are. So a lot of times with sewer laterals, it can cost you 5, 15, 20 grand, right? We've seen. Now, usually it's between, I'd say 3 and 10 grand usually, but it can get up there pretty quickly, pretty fast. And so you want to make sure you get that report. And so the 4 major home inspections that we always recommend when you're buying a property is your general home inspection, your pest inspection, your roof inspection, and then as well as your sewer lateral. Then there's the specialty inspections. If it has a pool or something like that, you definitely want to get that as well, because those can be very, very high expenses, which you don't know what's going on with those. So that's where we're going to wrap up the Risk Twos Roundtable today. I will be back on next Tuesday, right around the same time. We'll have some marketing coming out for this. We just wanted to get a nice run in today to make sure everything was good to go, which it was. And I look forward to answering questions for you next week on what's going on in real estate, mortgages. If you have questions, I got answers. And if I don't have the answer, I'll get you the answer. That's the best news. So talk to you soon. Thank you so much and have a great day.